You probably thought to yourself, wow, this guy's a beast. He would be so much better on another team. Well, we're here to give you our top 10 picks. What is going on, guys? Sometimes an NFL quarterback is only as good as the coaching staff and supporting cast around him. Just look at guys like Jim Plunkett, Kurt Warner, Steve Young, and Ryan Tannehil, who salvaged their careers once they found the perfect niche. Well, we think these 10 draft busts could have also been much better if they landed with the right team from day one. Before we get started, we'd like to give a big shout out to Dogboy1642 for suggesting this video. Mitch Trubisky. The San Francisco 49ers desperately needed a quarterback ahead of the 2017 draft, but they weren't enamored enough with any of the prospects. The 49ers held the number 2 selection, but they traded it to the Chicago Bears in exchange for the number 3 pick. It was quite the haul for the 49ers to move down just one spot. Chicago took North Carolina product Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Though the Bears made the postseason twice with Trubisky, he never quite found his groove in the Windy City. He threw for 20 or more touchdowns just once, and he never had more than 3,223 yards in a single season. The Bears opted not to re-sign him after 4 years. But what if the 49ers had taken Trubisky at number 2 overall?
With the second pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback.
Trubisky could have been a nice fit in Kyle Shanahan's offense. The latter is one of the best offensive-minded coaches around, and he could have totally unlocked Trubisky's potential. Not to mention that San Fran had a strong supporting cast. Johnny Manziel, the 2012 Heisman Trophy winner, was a polarizing prospect ahead of the draft. There were questions about his character and ability to succeed at the NFL level with his unique style of play. Manziel fell down the board and wasn't taken until the 22nd spot by the Cleveland Browns. Johnny Football turned out to be a giant bust. He partied way too much off the field and really never took his job seriously. The Browns quickly gave up and cut Manziel after just 2 seasons. Interestingly, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones actually wanted Manziel with the number 16 selection.
The Dallas Cowboys have less than 4 minutes to go, and sure enough, Johnny Football is there for the taking for Jerry Jones.
But his son talked him into taking future Hall of Fame guard Zach Martin. Now Dallas already had a steady option in veteran Tony Romo. But what if Jerry actually took Manziel?
With the 16th pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Johnny Manziel.
Manziel would have worked behind a great offensive line while throwing to Pro Bowl wideout Des Bryant and future Hall of Fame tight end Jason Witten, and learning behind Romo for a year wouldn't have hurt his chances at succeeding. Robert Griffin III. Washington traded up to select the 2011 Heisman Trophy winner with the 2nd overall pick in 2012. Right after the Indianapolis Colts made Andrew Luck the top selection, RG3 had a remarkable first NFL season, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year honors after leading his team to a surprise division title. Sadly, that's as good as things would get for Griffin in Washington. The team had him play through a serious knee injury in the wild card round against Seattle. That only made things worse, and Griffin ended up needing surgery on a partially torn MCL and ACL. This sadly marked the beginning of several injury woes for Griffin. He eventually lost the starting job to Kirk Cousins and was released by Washington after the 2015 season. The Colts don't regret the Luck pick, but what if they took RG3 instead?
With the first pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Robert Griffin III, quarterback, Baylor.
Maybe his career goes much better. He wouldn't have landed with a dysfunctional franchise that ruined so many promising careers. The Colts probably would have managed his health a lot better too. He'd also get to play for a coaching staff led by Chuck Pagano and Bruce Arians. Not to mention a stacked supporting cast of Reggie Wayne, T.Y. Hilton, and Dwayne Allen. Simply put, Griffin's dual threat style would have made him an exciting fit in that Colts offense. Sam Bradford. The Rams drafted the Oklahoma quarterback 1st overall in 2010, but like RG3 in Washington, Bradford's tenure in St. Louis was marred by injuries and awful team management. Jeff Fisher is a good guy and all, but he just couldn't find a way to make it work with younger quarterbacks. If Bradford had an offensive-minded coach earlier in his career, maybe he would have done better. Playing behind a horrible offensive line and working with very few playmaking receivers didn't really help either. So what if Bradford landed in a better situation? The Seattle Seahawks used the number 6 pick on Russell Okung, which they didn't regret. But what if Bradford fell to them?
With the 6th pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Sam Bradford, quarterback.
The Seahawks already had a top-tier running back in Marshawn Lynch, and they certainly would have gone to work in fixing the rest of the supporting cast around Bradford. The Seahawks eventually landed Doug Baldwin, as well as Tyler Lockett and Golden Tate. They were perfect weapons for Russell Wilson. Maybe those three and Lynch would have turned Bradford into a star. Marcus Mariota. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers took Jameis Winston first overall in 2015. The Tennessee Titans took Marcus Mariota second overall, but had limited success with their respective teams, and neither were worthy the lofty investments. As a starter, Mariota did help Tennessee to 3 winning seasons, plus a wild-card berth in 2017, but he never topped 3,500 yards, and he had just 76 touchdown passes in 4 seasons. He lost his starting job to Ryan Tannehil in 2019, and wasn't re-signed by the team in the offseason. So with the benefit of hindsight, why not ask ourselves, what if? The Bucs went with Mariota instead.
With the first pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Marcus Mariota.
Though Winston never took the Bucs to the playoffs, he put up strong numbers with Bruce Arians. Having Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Deshaun Jackson as his receivers sure helped. As for Mariota, he rarely had any quality receivers to work with on the Titans. Nothing like what Winston had to work with in Tampa, that's for sure. Playing on a run-first Tennessee team with a lack of wideouts definitely capped Mariota's potential. That probably wouldn't have been the case if he had landed on the Bucs instead. Blake Bortles. The 2014 NFL Draft was loaded with future superstars and Hall of Famers. That said, the class didn't have any can't-miss QB prospects. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater and Derek Carr are the 2 best quarterbacks from this class, and nobody's really calling them elite. Blake Bortles, the number 3 pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars, was the first QB taken after a forgettable rookie year. Bortles broke out in 2015 with 4,428 yards and 35 touchdown passes. That turned out to be a mirage though. Despite a solid supporting cast, Bortles just couldn't find any consistency. In 2018, he lost his starting job and was released during the ensuing offseason, 1 year after signing a 3-year, $54 million extension. So in this hypothetical scenario, what if Bortles wound up going first overall to the Texans, rather than third overall to the Jags?
With the first pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Blake Bortles, quarterback, Central Florida.
Houston needed a QB but settled on Jadeveon Clowney, who was widely regarded as a generational pass rusher at the time. Bortles would have joined a team with an offensive-minded coach in Bill O'Brien, the opposite of what he had in Jacksonville. Houston eventually found its franchise QB in Deshaun Watson, but had they gone with Bortles a few years earlier, maybe we'd be calling him one of the NFL's best quarterbacks today. Just something to think about. Tim Couch. Tim Couch went first overall to the Cleveland Browns in 1999. Donovan McNabb went second overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. One is an all-time draft bust, the other was a 5-time Pro Bowler who led his team to 5 NFC Championship games. Oh, and a Super Bowl 39 appearance. Couch was just one of the many draft picks who flopped in Cleveland. McNabb, on the other hand, had the fortune of working with one of the best offensive gurus ever in Andy Reid. So one of the Browns took McNabb, and the Eagles settled on Couch at number 2 overall.
The Cleveland Browns select Donovan McNabb, quarterback, Syracuse University. The Philadelphia Eagles selection is from the University of Kentucky, Tim Couch.
The latter probably has a much better career compared to what we saw from him in Cleveland. We already mentioned Andy Reid, but that's not all. We're talking guys like Terrell Owens, Brian Westbrook, Jeremy Maclin, and LaShawn McCoy, Couch, who was ultra talented, but just landed with the wrong team at the wrong time. David Carr. Carr just never stood a chance in Houston, and you have to feel for him. Any quarterback would struggle on an expansion team, sure, but the Texans did absolutely nothing to help the 2002 first overall pick succeed. Carr was sacked an NFL record 76 times in his rookie year, and 49 times in 2004, and 68 times in 2005.
Already dead.
Carr lost 53 of 75 starts with the Texans and had just 59 touchdowns against 65 interceptions in 5 seasons there. Now what if Carr went second overall to the Carolina Panthers, who used that selection on future Hall of Famer Julius Peppers? Well, maybe things would have turned out much better for him. The Panthers made it to Super Bowl 38 in 2003 with Jake Delhomme. He was only sacked 23 times on the year, and he had future Hall of Fame wideout Steve Smith Sr., 2-time Pro Bowler Musa Muhammad, and 1,000-yard rusher Stephen Davis. Imagine if Carr got to work with these 3 playmakers and a much more competent offensive line. Not to mention that head coach John Fox would have probably helped him cut back considerably on the turnovers. Give Carr that same group, and maybe he's the long-term franchise star in Carolina. Vince Young, after leading the Texas Longhorns to a thrilling national championship victory over USC. Young was drafted 3rd overall by the Titans in 2006. Young had some nice moments for sure. The 2-time Pro Bowler earned Offensive Rookie of the Year honors, and he led the Titans to the playoffs in 2007. But Young struggled with accuracy and consistency. agency. In Young's defense, he was coached by Jeff Fisher, who wasn't exactly a quarterback's guru, and the Titans didn't give him a whole lot to work with in the passing game either. Hypothetically speaking, what if Young landed with the New Orleans Saints, who used the number 2 overall pick on Reggie Bush in 2006?
With the second choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Vince Young, quarterback, University of Texas.
The Saints had just signed former Chargers quarterback Drew Brees in free agency. But what if they opt to draft their next quarterback instead that offseason? You'd have to think they would have used that second overall pick on Vince Young. We've seen what Peyton can do with quarterbacks. He's helped Brees become one of the greatest of all time. And he's also won with the likes of Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill. What makes you think he wouldn't have had the same success with a talent like Vince Young? Ryan Leaf. The Indianapolis Colts had a tough decision with the top pick in 1998. Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf? They were both among the most hyped up quarterback prospects ever, but felt like sure things to succeed. As we all know, the Colts took the future 5-time MVP, 2-time Super Bowl champion and Hall of Famer. The San Diego Chargers happily selected Leaf with the number 2 selection. Well, at least they were happy with the pick at the time. Leaf won just 4 of 18 starts with the Chargers. He was released after 2 seasons. But what if the Colts chose Leaf over Manning?
With the first pick in the draft, the Indianapolis Colts select quarterback, Washington State University, Ryan Leaf.
Leaf would have entered a much better situation. The Colts had Hall of Famers Marshall Faulk and Marvin Harrison on offense, and the no-nonsense style of head coach Jim Mora would have forced Leaf to clean up his attitude problems. We know Leaf had the talent. If he went to the right system with the right coach and a stacked supporting cast, maybe he would have been a Super Bowl champion and Hall of Famer like Manning was. What other NFL quarterbacks could have turned out much better if they were drafted by another team? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to go follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. We're on everything. Go follow, go subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below, and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knees.